The morning air was cold when the small German Shepherd puppy stepped onto the empty road. His paws were dusty and his body was thin, but his eyes were bright and focused. He held a piece of dry bread carefully in his mouth, as if it were something precious. The bread was hard and rough and almost too large for his small jaw. Still he did not drop it even once. The village was just waking up and shops were opening slowly. A tea seller named Ravi noticed the puppy walking past his stall. Ravi watched closely because the puppy did not look around for food or people. The puppy did not wag his tail or stop for attention. He walked straight ahead with slow, steady steps. Ravi felt something strange in his chest as he watched. He had seen many dogs in the village, but never one like this. This puppy walked like he had a purpose. A few villagers also noticed and began watching quietly. Some thought the puppy was lost. Some thought he was hungry. But none of them understood why he was carrying bread instead of eating it. The road stretched far ahead and led out of the village. The puppy kept moving even when the ground became rough. Small stones hurt his paws, but he did not stop. A group of children followed him for a while. At first they laughed and pointed. After some time they became quiet. They saw how tired the puppy looked. They saw how carefully he held the bread. The sun rose higher and the road became warmer. The puppy slowed down but did not turn back. Dust stuck to his fur, and his breathing became heavier. Still his eyes stayed fixed on the path ahead. The village slowly disappeared behind him. Fields and trees surrounded the road now. The sound of people faded away. Only birds and wind filled the air. The puppy walked for a long time. His legs trembled slightly with every step. Once he slipped on loose soil and almost fell. The bread dropped for a moment. He quickly picked it up again and held it tighter. His ears lowered as if he was worried. He checked the bread again and continued walking. The path became narrower and rougher. Tall grass brushed against his sides. Thorns scratched his skin, but he did not cry. His body was small, but his will was strong. He walked as if someone was waiting for him. Far behind him, Ravi was still standing at his stall thinking about the puppy. Ravi felt a deep unease in his heart. He wondered where such a young puppy could be going alone. He wondered why the puppy looked so serious. An old woman named Mira had also seen the puppy earlier. She remembered the puppy from a few weeks ago. She remembered a poor man who lived near the fields. That man was kind and quiet and often fed stray animals. Mira thought about him and felt worried. The puppy kept moving as clouds slowly crossed the sky. Time passed and the sun climbed higher. The puppy had now walked a very long distance. His small body was clearly exhausted. Yet he did not stop even once. His stomach growled, but he ignored it. The bread remained untouched in his mouth. He reached the edge of a dirt path that led away from the road. The path looked lonely and forgotten. Few people ever walked there. The puppy paused for a moment and looked ahead. His tail moved slightly as if he felt relief. He stepped onto the dirt path and continued forward. The wind carried a faint smell of old wood and dust. The puppy recognized it and walked faster. His steps were weak but filled with hope. His eyes softened as the hut came into view far ahead. The hut was broken and old and surrounded by silence. The puppy kept walking toward it without fear. He was close now. His long journey was almost over. The puppy walked deeper along the dirt path as the sun stood high above him. His body felt heavy, but his heart pushed him forward. Dry leaves cracked under his paws with every step. The smell of the fields grew stronger as the hut came closer. The puppy slowed down and lifted his head carefully. His ears moved as he listened to the quiet land around him. The world felt still and empty in that moment. Only the sound of his breathing broke the silence. The bread remained safe between his teeth. His jaw ached, but he did not loosen his grip. The hut stood ahead with broken walls and a weak roof. Time and weather had worn it down slowly. Grass grew tall around it and shadows rested near its base. The puppy stopped a few steps away and looked at the hut. His tail moved gently as if he felt comfort. He walked closer with small careful steps. Near the entrance the ground was darker and cooler. The puppy paused again and looked inside. A weak sound reached his ears from within. It was the sound of slow breathing. The puppy let out a soft whine and stepped inside the hut. Inside the light was dim and the air was heavy. The floor was cold and hard beneath his paws. In the corner lay a thin man wrapped in old cloth. His face was pale and his eyes were closed. His chest moved slowly as he breathed. This was Mohan. The puppy walked toward him without fear. He lowered his head and gently placed the bread near Mohan's hand. The bread touched the ground and rested beside him. The puppy sniffed Mohan's face and licked his fingers softly. Mohan stirred and opened his eyes slightly. At first he thought he was dreaming. Then he saw the puppy standing beside him. A weak smile formed on his face. His lips moved but no sound came out. The puppy lay down close to him and rested his head near the bread. Outside the hut, Mira had followed the path slowly. Her legs were tired, but her heart urged her forward. She reached the hut and stopped when she saw the scene inside. Her eyes filled with tears at once. She covered her mouth to keep quiet. She had never seen such care from such a small animal. Soon Ravi arrived with a few others from the village. They stood silently at the entrance and watched. No one spoke. No one moved. The puppy lifted his head and looked at them briefly. His eyes were calm and trusting. He did not bark or growl. He returned his attention to Mohan. Mohan slowly reached for the bread with shaking fingers. He broke a small piece and held it near his mouth. Before eating, he looked at the puppy. His eyes were filled with emotion. He pushed a small piece toward the puppy. The puppy pulled his head back gently. He did not take the food. He nudged the bread closer to Mohan instead. Mira felt her heart break at that moment. She stepped inside and knelt near Mohan. She touched his forehead and felt the heat. She realized how sick he had been. Ravi ran back toward the village without a word. Others followed him quickly. They knew what needed to be done. The puppy stayed close to Mohan and did not move. He watched every breath with care. Mohan ate slowly and gained a little strength. His eyes stayed on the puppy the whole time. He remembered the day he found the puppy hurt near the road. He remembered how small and scared he had been. He remembered sharing his food and water. He remembered holding him on cold nights. Now the puppy had returned that kindness. The hut that once felt empty now felt full of meaning. The land outside remained quiet. But something had changed forever. The hut felt warmer as people slowly returned with help from the village. Ravi came first carrying water and soft food wrapped in cloth. Others followed with medicine and blankets. They moved quietly and carefully as if the moment was fragile. The puppy stayed close to Mohan and watched every movement. His body was tired, but his eyes were alert. Mohan drank water slowly, and his breathing became steadier. The food gave him a little strength. Mira cleaned the small space inside the hut. She opened the broken door wider to let in fresh air. Sunlight touched the floor and softened the darkness. The puppy lifted his head and sniffed the air. He seemed to relax for the first time that day. Mohan looked at the puppy with deep affection. He reached out and rested his hand on the puppy head. The puppy leaned into the touch gently. Memories filled Mohan's mind as he rested. He remembered finding the puppy near the road weeks ago. The puppy had been hurt and shaking. Mohan had no money, but he shared his little food. He cleaned the wound and stayed awake to keep the puppy warm. Each day the puppy grew stronger. Each night the puppy stayed close. When Mohan became weak, the puppy refused to leave. The puppy watched him closely and followed his every move. That morning when there was no food left, the puppy understood. He listened to Mohan's weak voice and acted without fear. He walked far without rest. He ignored hunger and pain. He carried hope in his mouth instead of bread. The people in the hut listened quietly as Mira spoke of what she saw. Tears rolled freely down many faces. No one felt ashamed of them. The puppy was no longer just an animal to them. He was a symbol of loyalty and care. Children stood close to their parents holding hands. They watched the puppy with wide eyes. They learned something without words. As time passed, Mohan gained more strength. His eyes stayed clear and thankful. He whispered soft words to the puppy. The puppy wagged his tail slowly. The hut that once felt forgotten now felt alive. Birds sang outside and the wind moved gently. Ravi returned later with more supplies. He promised to check on Mohan every day. Others agreed to help repair the hut. The puppy rested beside Mohan peacefully. His breathing finally slowed. He closed his eyes knowing he had done his part. The long walk and heavy burden were over. Trust filled the small space. Kindness filled the silence. The puppy dreamt softly beside the man he loved. The days after that moment changed the quiet land forever. Mohan slowly began to recover with care and rest. Each morning Ravi arrived with food and water. Mira came to clean and check his health. Other villagers repaired the broken walls of the hut. They fixed the roof and cleared the weeds around it. The hut no longer looked forgotten. It looked alive again. The puppy stayed beside Mohan every single day. He slept near his feet and watched the door closely. Whenever Mohan moved, the puppy moved too. When Mohan smiled, the puppy wagged his tail. When Mohan rested, the puppy rested. The bond between them grew stronger with time. People from nearby villages came to hear the story. They wanted to see the puppy who walked so far. They wanted to understand such loyalty. Children sat quietly and watched the puppy with respect. Elders spoke softly about kindness and gratitude. The puppy did not seek attention. He stayed calm and gentle. He followed Mohan like a shadow. As weeks passed, Mohan became strong enough to walk outside. The puppy walked proudly beside him. They visited the fields together in the evening. The sky turned orange and gold during sunset. People often stopped to watch them. They felt peace in that simple sight. Mohan spoke little, but his eyes were full of thanks. He knew he was alive because of love. The puppy was later given a name by the village. They called him Viru. Viru learned the sounds and paths of the land. He guarded the hut at night. He greeted villagers with gentle eyes. No one ever feared him. He became part of every heart. When Mohan sat outside, Viru sat beside him. When Mohan rested, Viru stayed close. The long road that once saw a lonely walk now held a story. People spoke of the bread carried with care. They spoke of a small body and a strong heart. They spoke of gratitude without words. The village changed after that. People helped each other more. They noticed pain sooner. They ignored fewer cries. Viru grew healthy and strong with time. But he never forgot that long walk. He never forgot why he carried the bread. Sometimes he stood near the road and looked ahead. Mohan always called him back with a smile. The journey was over now. The purpose was fulfilled. What remained was love and trust. The story traveled far beyond the fields. But its meaning stayed simple. Kindness always finds its way back.